telling stories of their lost loved ones, like Jenna and Joan are doing tonight, that it honors the person they've lost. Not talking about it makes that person feel more isolated in their emotions. So as we give the space and stage to Joan for her story, let's give her a big round of applause.
When I was 10, I held a baby for the first time. I don't remember whose baby it was, but it was magic. Like, something in me told me I was meant to be a mom, and I still remember that. I remember the baby. Like I said, I have no idea whose baby it was, but it was a beautiful baby. And after that, with my Girl Scout troop, I was in Scouts, and I would babysit the neighborhood kids, and I was a nanny all through my 20s. And so it was just sort of in me, and I don't know if it's like the biological instinct or what you want to call it, but I just always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I just kept dating the wrong guys. I couldn't find anybody that wanted to settle down, and maybe it was just like, we'd be together for a couple of years, and I'd be like, so, when are we getting married and having a baby? And that would always scare me. So, eventually, bumped into somebody that I had grown up with, and I was like, well, this is my fairy tale, and we ended up getting married after, we met when we were 5, and then we went to school together, didn't really see each other, and then met as adults and moved in together a week later, and then got married 6 months later, and then I threw away my pills, and I was pregnant 2 weeks later, and that was just in my mind. I was like, well, I've always been the type of person that if I think of it, I can make it happen. I'm sort of a go-getter. I've never not gotten hired for a job I've applied for. I'm just like, I know how to make things happen. And so when I got pregnant, that was it. And I wanted to do everything perfectly for this baby. And I was so in love when I saw the 2 lines, and just ecstatic. And so we kept it secret for the 3 months. We did the whole thing where we didn't tell anyone we were pregnant, and I was secretly, eating snacks all the time, and people just thought I was really hungry. And so, and I started just getting some looser fitting clothes. When the 3 months were up, I brought my whole family. We all went to the Olive Garden. And my sister collects vintage Harley t-shirts, and I go thrifting, so I had saved up a few of these t-shirts, and in the Harley Davidson t-shirt I rolled up a onesie that says, "I love my Aunt Jenny." So she undoes it, and she starts screaming in the Olive Garden. It was like a movie. The entire restaurant stood up and cheered for me. And it's one of my favorite memories of my pregnancy. I mean, you see pregnant women that are a little bit swollen, get this baby out of me. I enjoyed being pregnant so much. And it was just, I got to have my belly photo shoot, the Demi Moore. When she did the nude photos, I made my husband take the pictures. I was like, and I have them in an album. I mean, they're up there with Demi's. I know it's not to toot my own horn, but I did everything. And the photos, I shared them with a select few people, and they were like, "This belongs in a magazine." And I was like, "I know." 2 of my coworkers were pregnant with me, and so when I finally came out of the closet of being the 3rd pregnant lady, everyone was like, "What's in the water?" So had my baby shower, so many pregnant women at the baby shower. It was just a joyful joyful, like I can't even tell you how joyful. Decorating her nursery in our apartment. We went with a woodland themed, like I'm a true Mainer, and so it was all woodland creatures, lots of foxes, and hedgehogs and all that stuff. And so at the baby shower, I told everybody the theme and everything. And it was the perfect day. It was sunshiny, it was beautiful. I just can just remember, and I have pictures, it's just the most beautiful. I wore a gown, it was perfect. I ate so much food, I couldn't move afterwards. I was like, so about 2 weeks after my baby shower, I was getting to be to the point where it was going to be almost my maternity leave. I was supposed to go in for a scan, and I showed up and they told me that the midwife had gotten called in to a birth, and that I couldn't get my scan that day. And I told them that I was having a little bit of like cramping, and they said that's normal, and they sent me home. My daughter Maeve Lucille, she died in the night, sometime in the night, I don't know. I woke up the next morning and I knew that something was off, and I did not know that babies died. That wasn't like, I just thought that like she was like being lazy in there. So I went in, I called them and I was like, well, I need to come in, something's just not right, I'm still having that cramping. And then the midwife kept trying to find her heartbeat, and I just remember being really annoyed, and I was like, you're scaring me, like, can you get me a different person, because I don't like you, or, like, I sent this woman away, and she really had scared me, and I called my husband, and he came and met me, thank God. So I wasn't alone when the second midwife came in and also couldn't find her heartbeat. And at that point I was pissed, and I did not know why everybody was trying to scare me. I was yelling at everybody, and I'm not somebody who really yells very often. They finally got a third midwife in there, and they wheeled in a sonogram machine that wasn't like a professional hospital one, it was just one that they had at the midwife's office, and they told me that her heart had stopped and that I needed to go to the hospital. And I said, this fucking machine is broken, like what the, I was like, this entire place is crazy. And then I projectile vomited onto the midwife, and I had my husband drive me to the hospital, and I had to call my work and tell them I wasn't coming in. I was like, I'll call you in a little bit, like I don't know what's going on. And I did not know, like I still didn't believe that she had died, like that just wasn't a possibility. And so I called my mom, and she met us over at the hospital, and they brought in the real sonogram machine, and they showed me this time, and they kept showing me where her heart should be moving, and it wasn't moving. And at that point I sort of like broke from reality, and I couldn't comprehend that my baby, who was supposed to be born the next week, that she was gone. If she wasn't gone, I still had to give birth to her. So they gave me a list of options after I was like, I didn't cry at first, because they said that I had gone into shock. And I just was silent, I couldn't talk. And they kept telling me, you're gonna wanna give birth vaginally. And I said, no, put me to sleep. Just put me to sleep and take her out. And then another nurse came in, and it was a nurse that I had played field hockey with at school. And so she came in and she told me, she said, if you can give birth vaginally, and we think that you can, I think that you really should try, because your baby would be so proud of you. And we tried to follow my birth plan as close as possible, and my friend Sarah, the nurse, she stayed with me. And so they induced me, and then they gave me some sleeping pills, and I fell asleep. And then I woke up the next day, and I gave birth vaginally to my daughter, and I caught her, and I held her up to my chest. And I've never seen a more beautiful baby in my life. And I have two beautiful daughters, so I'm not saying the other one's not beautiful, but usually they come out and they look like a little squished up potato, but she didn't. Like, she was not a little potato baby. She was like the most graceful, elegant, beautiful baby, and she was still warm and pink. And I held her, and everyone left the room, and it was just me and my husband and my baby. And I kept asking why she wasn't crying. And we just wept over her because she was perfect. There was no reason why she should have died. They figured out much later that her placenta had I still don't really, that it was called velitis, the little villi that attached the placenta to the side. They had started to go bad in a couple places, and she said that the places they saw that shouldn't have been the cause of her death, and that they don't know. And so I asked them, well, was it because I got a sunburn on my feet? Was it because I ate a tuna fish sandwich? Like, why did she die? And my two coworkers had their babies. And why did theirs get to live and my baby died? So I got to spend 8.5 hours with her in the hospital. And this was at Mercy Hospital, and they have a little checklist. Thank God they do, because I didn't know what to do. I was in shock. But I got to give her a bath, and I got to brush her bright red hair. Forgot to mention that she had bright red curly hair. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was gorgeous. She had my hands exactly. I have like really petite little hands, and she had like, I have pictures of our hands together, and they're like carbon copy hands. The nurse who held her and sang to her like she was alive, I will never forget that. She held her and she talked to my baby and told her how beautiful she was. And it gave me the courage to start talking to her and making those memories. About 30 years ago, they thought it was a good idea that women who gave birth to stillborn babies, that they should take the baby away without the mother ever seeing them. And there was studies done that those women ended up with more psychological problems than the women who got to spend time and say hello before they had to say goodbye. So there was a checklist, and I got to make all the memories with my baby. And then I was given a card with a phone number on it. And I was told to call the phone number when I was ready to have the man come and take her. And I said, I'm never gonna call that number. I don't want anyone to ever take her. But at about midnight, her body had started to change. They didn't have what's called a cuddle cot at the time, which is like a little refrigerated cot that you can spend more time with your baby. But we called the number, and he came and he brought what looked like a picnic basket. And we put her in there, and we said goodbye. And I just remember there was this movie called Blackfish where they take the baby whale away from the mother, and she just screams and screams, and I could hear this noise, and I realized it was me screaming for my baby. And I was wheeled out of the hospital past all the people with the balloons the next day. And I just remember being so angry that I had to go past all those happy people, and don't they know that the world has stopped? And she's gone. So I went home, and we couldn't make it at our apartment. We had to move in with my parents because I couldn't work anymore. And I started, you hear stories about soldiers that come back with one arm and they have the phantom arm, they can feel their fingers. I had phantom belly, I could feel her kicking. I would wake up in the night and I would feel her kicking in my belly, and I would wake up screaming. So I just wanted to be with her. And it took a long time till I was ready to go back to work and ready to see anybody. It was hard. I had stopped eating and I went into organ failure and I had to be hospitalized. And then it was at that point they had a counselor come in and talk to me, and they were trying to figure out if I was suicidal or anything like that, and I wasn't. I wanted to be with her so badly, and I couldn't understand why she was gone. So fast forward about a year later, I finally was able to go back to work, and I just threw myself into work, and then we were ready to start trying again. And it took a while to get there. I was just like, I didn't know if I could love another baby. I didn't know if I could love another baby the way I loved Maeve. And then one day I woke up and I was like, there's a spirit out there. There's like, I don't know if it was Maeve's spirit or my daughter waiting to be born or who it was, but I woke up one day and I could just feel that there was this purpose. And so we started trying to have a baby. And then 3 months go by and 6 months, and I was like, well, we got pregnant in 2 weeks the first time. What are we doing wrong? Like, we're trying every day. Like, I'm getting tired of this. Like, where's my fucking baby? Like, I can't do this. So we did finally go to the doctors, and they told me when my organs had started failing that my ovaries had failed, and I needed to start, if we wanted to get on this, to really start doing some treatments. So we did a bunch of hormone therapies. That was fun. I was sweating and mood swings and all of that, and then proceeded to do some IUIs, and none of those worked either. Ended up needing to do IVF, which, if you're not familiar with IVF, it costs $15,000 and insurance doesn't cover it, and I didn't have $15,000, so I was beside myself. I was not going to give up, but I didn't know how to move to the next step. So we decided, somebody sent me a link and I thought it was fake at first. It was like a couple on YouTube was going to gift an IVF to a family for Christmas. And I was like, well, what the hell? Like, I got nothing to lose at this point. Like, so we made a video and sent it in, and we ended up winning the money. And they were like, well, do you want to start your treatment this year? Do you want to wait? I was like, can we start it yesterday? I was so ready to get on that, and we were so lucky. We got 2 viable embryos, and even though my ovaries were basically it kicked the bucket, that was good. We got 2 embryos, and we transferred the first one, and we were thrilled. We got pregnant, and I was like, this is it. And it was really hard. We went in at our 7-week scan, and that baby had passed away too. And I started to relive some of the grief, and I didn't know if I could go on and transfer this other embryo. So we waited 6 months, and I got a dog. I mean, my dog is part human and part alien, so she's amazing. And I spent that 6 months just reconnecting with my happiness, because I didn't know where the hell it went. Like, for a few years, like, I was just, like, I mean, I looked like a skeleton for a while, then I was on a bunch of hormones and gained a bunch of weight, and it was like, I just started doing yoga and walking this dog, and then 6 months later I was ready, and I said, well, this is it, this is the last embryo, and if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So we just went for it, and we got pregnant, and it took. When I was pregnant with Maeve, one of my deepest desires was to breastfeed. I had taken the class, and when my pump came in the mail, you would have thought it was Christmas. I took out the pump parts and I did the like Madonna, like the bullet breath. I have pictures of that. It was just like, I mean, I was so ecstatic. So when she died, my body didn't know that she had died. My milk came in, and I was in so much pain from having the milk, have nowhere to go. I started pumping, and I saved some of the milk, and then at her funeral, they actually had to make an announcement for people not to hug me because I was in so much pain. I did donate the little bit of milk that I have, so there was a baby somewhere that got some of her milk. My pregnancy with Vera, it wasn't so joyful. There was moments of joy that I could reflect from the joyful time in my first pregnancy, but there was no more innocence. And I spent a lot of that pregnancy afraid she was gonna die, and I would wake up in the night thinking that she had died, and I had 3 Dopplers. I had one in my car, one at home, one at work, and I kept getting in trouble at work because I kept leaving the lube around my office. They were like, you got 10 bottles of lube in your office, what's going on? I was like, it's for my Doppler. They're like, what is going on in your office? But I got to the point in my pregnancy with my daughter Vera that I had lost Maeve, and I got so fearful, I kept going into the ER to have them reassure me. So the next time I went in, they were like, we're gonna call your doctors in to like see if we can induce you because your anxiety is getting to a point where it's not healthy for you and the baby. And I was 38 weeks at that point, and my doctor came in, and I had a team with Vera. I had to get 3 scans a week to make sure she was gonna be okay. And my doctor came in, who I called Mr. Dreamy. He was the team at Maine Med was awesome, but I had the most handsome doctor in the place. I think they treated me special over there. She was 38 weeks, and he came in and he said, we're gonna induce you today. We're not gonna let you go another minute without getting that baby out safe. And so I walked over the little bridge to Maine Med, and I checked in, and my family met me over there, and we all cried. And my mom made a sign for the door, because I've had people not know what to say, or people like who come in and ask if it's my first baby. My mom made this beautiful sign with a rainbow that explained what a rainbow baby is. A rainbow baby is a baby that's born after a loss. And I forget what she wrote on the sign, but I remember it was beautiful. And in the night, Vera started to go into distress. And I was pushing, and she went into distress, and then they made the call that she was gonna come out the sunroof instead. So I said, I don't care how this baby gets here, just get her out. And I was so into it, I was like, give me the clear drape, I wanna see her come out. And so I was so tired of pushing, but they gave me the clear drape, and he pulls her out, and she starts crying. And it was the most beautiful moment of my entire life. She screamed, she had some lungs. And I was secretly hoping she was gonna have red hair like her sister, and the doctor screams, I love a bald baby! And so I had to wait like 6 months she wasn't just like peach fuzz, she was skin mold. Like and she was a potato baby. She was like, she came out, she looked like a little potato. She was not graceful like her sister. She didn't have the elegant fingers. She was my little potato, and she was screaming. And I was being stitched up, and I just kept saying, where is she, where is she? And they had to keep her in my sight line. And they wheeled her over so I could just see her. And I was so tired from pushing and from the C-section, my eyes kept closing and I kept opening them back up because I didn't want to take my eyes off of her. And it was crazy. I just didn't think she was going to get here, and she did. And my milk came in, and she had a lip and tongue tie that took a while to figure out, and so at that time I was like, I waited 3 years for this living baby. Like, I want to breastfeed her, like I had the dream to do with her sister. Why isn't this working? And she got her lip and tongue tie revised, and then she could breastfeed. And I breastfed her at the mall, I breastfed her in the car, I breastfed her in the parking lot, and I kept waiting. I had like all these comebacks, because you hear about people going up to women and being like, hey, you can't breastfeed here, or hey, put that away, or what. Like, you hear those stories. I had like old men coming up to me and giving me the thumbs up, like being like, my wife breastfed back in 1952, you're a wonderful person. And I was like, thank you. And I would have like people come up and just tell me their story, or just, they'd come up and just like tell me I was doing a good job. And I just, the amount of gratitude, and I always say it's like her sister's gift. The gratitude with the motherhood, the breastfeeding. I did cloth diapers, I went to baby yoga, I went to baby like music, we got to do all of it. And there was this one moment I remember when Vera was a newborn. She pooped, puked, and peed on me all down my neck. And I said, thank you, God. I've never been so happy to have my baby here. She is going to be 4 in June. Her and her sister's birthdays are a week apart, so Maeve's is June 10th. She would be turning 7. I was telling the girls at the dinner before this, last year I didn't remember to order the butterflies in time, and this year I ordered the good butterflies to do at her birthday party. And Vera's birthday is June 17th, so it's 1 week after. And I do something special every year in honor of Maeve. I have her sister, Vera, pick out a present that would be suitable for a 7-year-old this year. We donate it to the Center for Grieving Children. And we do a butterfly release, or we throw rose petals in the river, and we play some of the songs on her playlist. I have songs that remind me of her, or songs that were special during my time with her. And we just have a really beautiful day. And my daughter Vera, who's gonna be 4, she wants a dog-themed birthday. So we're planning that too. Just my memories of being able to breastfeed her and have that experience through her babyhood. I will never forget that. It took me 10 surgeries and 3 years to have Vera. And all that time I kept the hope that she would come. And I had this like vision in my mind that this baby was gonna come. And she's here and she's like a comedian. Like, she likes fart jokes. She likes poop jokes, like any 4-year-old. And her hair finally came in when she was 6 months old, this little peach fuzz, and it was bright red like her sister's, not quite as dark, but it's like a little bit different shade of red. I call her my rose gold, and Maeve is like the, just sort of like the deep rose. But they are my 2 daughters, and I love them both. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is like, just because she died, the love doesn't go away. I like to tell Vera she gets double, but love stays, and for anyone who has ever lost a baby, it stays with you in your heart. And I think it makes me a better person. I've had people given my email, given my Instagram, and I've had women from all over the world reach out to me because they lost a baby. And I've written back to every single person that's ever written to me because I felt so alone when that happened to me, and I don't want anyone to ever feel alone. But just the fact that I get to be here on stage talking about her tonight makes me so happy. And I know I've cried a bunch, but just being able to talk about her and tell her story, it makes me really happy and really proud. And she made me a mom. So happy Mother's Day to everybody who's a mom. Thank you very much.